Mason Mount injured, Luke Shaw setback, some players coming back, Erik ten Hag facing the sack, but wants Ineos to back him. What a very, very good press conference that was. We've got so much to get into. Goldbridge is in his t-shirt and shorts because it's hot weather. He's feeling good, but if you're coming here for good news, I think it's a very mixed bag, to be honest with you, in relation to Manchester United and what is going on. We will fly straight into it. Mason Mount is injured again. I think this is injury 4. Also, I do detect that I mentioned this a week ago. Some of you would agree or disagree. I think we're in a position here where Manchester United are focusing on the FA Cup. I think there was a few hints in there that there are players that you probably could throw in if it was the last game. If the FA Cup was on Sunday, I think people like Martinez would be playing. But I think quite rightly, and we'll get into the detail of it, Ten Hag is now saying, look, I've got players that want to play in the FA Cup final and I've got to make sure that they're ready for the FA Cup final. And yes, Arsenal's a big game on Sunday, but we're not going to throw players into that willy-nilly, I suppose. But let's fly into it. 8 o'clock show tonight, by the way. Down the pub later. It'll be a good show. But Mason Mount injured again. Can I just say as well, we've got quite a lot to go through here. Some really good questions asked of Ten Hag today. He was asked a question about having no chance against Arsenal and didn't really, say that we do. He was asked about the FA Cup as well. Some really, really good questions. Obviously, Luckhurst came out with an absolute crap question, which we'll talk about in a minute. I mean, why? I don't know. But we won't dwell on the negative yet. Although we will, because we're going to talk about Mason Mount. So Mason Mount is injured again. A setback yesterday. Well, not a setback. He's got injured again yesterday. So Mason Mount is not playing at the weekend. And I think, look, there's 2 ways of looking about this with Mason Mount. You either say unbelievably bad luck in your first season at Manchester United, or we've made a mistake. We've made a massive mistake, and we've bought a player that we never should have bought. He's injury prone. He's made of glass, and all of that. But in fairness, before Man United bought Mason Mount, unless the medical department have missed something, I don't think you can blame fans. I mean, look, Beth's a big fan of Mason Mount. I don't think you can blame Ten Hag, who bought him. I mean, if you look at Mason Mount at Chelsea, there's no indication that he had masses of injuries. And he's not old. He's in his mid-20s. He played a lot of football for Chelsea. And he, form-wise, wasn't good for Chelsea last year, but injury-wise, not really. Previous years, not really. Comes to Man United, gets 4 injuries in one season. Now, I don't have the answers, but I think this sort of thing has to fall down onto medical. It has to fall down onto medical. Medical when we signed him, and medical over the last 12 months, which we know is a failing. We know our fitness department is not fit for purpose. I did a video about this about a month ago. If you look at United's 3 main people involved in fitness and conditioning, they came in, one of them came in probably about 10 years ago, and 2 of them came in the Ollie era. Like, these are not Ten Hag's people. These are certainly not Ineos people. And we have to accept, and I think there's a report or a rumour come out that Sir David Brailsford has basically said that United's fitness department and structure around that is not fit for purpose. Funnily enough, it's injured. I think you've got to look at that. He's D92 said that he did have 3 injuries last season. Well, I'll have a look at that now, D92, because I don't. What I'm trying to say there is that I don't detect with Mason Mount before we bought him. I don't remember anybody talking about he's injury prone. It was more about where he's going to fit in the team. But so last season would have been, so February 2023, he was out for 34 days with a pelvic contusion. And that sort of kept him out from the end, towards the end of last season. He had a pelvic problem. And then nothing else really. Had a little bit of a knock for 2 days in January. And then the last injury before that was an ankle injury a year before in 2022. So, yeah, he had a pelvic problem at the end of last season, and that was it. It was quite a significant one, but we don't think that's the problem with him now. So, look, I disagree. I don't think, on the face of it, I or you or Ten Hag would know that Mason Mount had any problems. And I do think it's bad luck. I think it's indicative of the season in general. I really don't want to see people going mad at Mason Mount. Like, the injuries we've had this season runs way beyond Mason Mount. It's been a complete write-off. He was out of contract this summer, so you could look at that. But I don't think this is a stick to beat Ten Hag with. I don't think it's a stick to, beat yourself with if you think Mount was a good signing and it's been a complete and utter failure. I just think it's ridiculous that in his first year he's had 4 injuries. I mean, we may as well have not bought him. That's the bottom line. He's just not been available all season for Manchester United, and that is a very, very, very sad thing. What can we say about it? I don't know. I mean, I don't really see... how long is he out injured for now? He's certainly not going to go to the Euros. Would he start in the FA Cup final? Can he be back for the FA Cup final? Would he be in... I just think it's a write-off season for Mason Mount, and hopefully a bit of rest and recuperation, he can hit pre-season and, have a better year next year. I bet we're going to get beaten by Arsenal, says Pessy. Did we sign Mount for the English quota, says Grace. Mount, we've spoken about that from D92. Some serious questions need to be asked of our medical and scouting teams, says Chiri. Well, they already are. They already are, aren't they? They already are. Where are we in relation to other injuries? So I don't expect anybody to be back apart from Bruno and McTominay and maybe Rashford. So Ten Hag has given an update on everybody. He said there's a lot of players who are really desperate to be involved for the FA Cup final. Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw's had another setback, so it's not looking great for Luke Shaw. Remember, Luke Shaw wants to go to the Euros as well, though. So with Luke Shaw, will he make the FA Cup final? Will he make the Euros? So Luke Shaw's not back and has had a bit of a setback. Lindelof, Varane, Martinez, they're all trying to get back. Apparently Martinez said to Ten Hag he wants to play on Sunday against Arsenal. Ten Hag has said no, I'm not rushing players back. I will never gamble on people's fitness, which I think is something that gets lost with Ten Hag, if we're being honest. I've heard people saying we rush players back and Ten Hag's to blame for that. I am very, very rarely negative towards Ten Hag. As you know, I want him to stay. But I do call him a laptop manager. I think he's always been a laptop manager. And what I mean by that is, you see it when a player comes back, he takes them off after 60 minutes. So people who say that Ten Hag rushes people back or risks them, he doesn't. Over the 2 years he's been here, at times he's been a bit frustrating when a player comes back. He'll instantly take them off at 60 minutes, even if they're playing well. So... Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.